we don't want the banks to experience the recession. We want the people to experience the recession. So we're going to play this out further. We're going to have them blow up, and then we're going to do exactly what you described, Pete. Is then we're then pump all this money back into it, and then what you're going to see, because this is where the more that they do this, the more they obliterate the middle class, the more they obliterate mid-cap, small-cap businesses, and it all gets consolidated up into a couple entities, which then has supply chain impacts, which is going to manifest all this inflation that we're talking about, because you get fragility in the system when only a couple key actors are controlling all the equity in the system. The amount of liquidity they shoved into the market, it was like almost like a drug that was pumped into the body that had an immediate effect, right? They're gonna need that again for what they're brewing, because the impact when it does start to unravel, the amount of printing that's gonna have to be inserted into that, and the pace, it's not just the amount, it's the speed at which they're gonna have to put it in is gonna be unprecedented.
What's up, you freedom-loving psychopaths? Hello? Welcome, we got a special one, and while the night is young and the ghosts wander among us, we uncover a terror that lurks in the shadows all year round. That is the specter of a failing economy, a possible U.S. debt default. Hey, we got a lot to cover. Let's get it. Much like the horrors depicted in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a sinister force is cutting through the flesh of our fiscal sanity, leaving in its wake a trail of debt that even Hellraiser's Pinhead would shudder at.
Your flesh is killing your spirit.
And just as Van Helsing fought the darkness, here lies our blade of salvation, Bitcoin.
I can still hear that voice.
There is no.
All right, now let's get into this. Heading toward another U.S. government default, this article from Zero Hedge. How did you go bankrupt? Bill asked. 2 ways, Mike said. Gradually, then suddenly. Ernest Hemingway, the sun also rises. Let's dig into this. U.S. is now rushing headlong to the financial tipping point that will cause it to default on its promises yet again. But what kind of default will it be this time? Will the next default be like the 1933 default, when the federal government reneged on its debt and stopped the deflationary spiral in the dollar caused by the unwinding of the 20s credit bubble instigated by the banks? Or will the federal government repay its debt by pretending to fulfill its promises with a worthless currency, repeating what occurred in the 1780s with the country's first currency, the Continental? As Greg Foss says, when it comes to Bitcoin, it's really just 10th grade math. And the bad thing here is that the math is pointing to fiat default and hyperinflation. Looking back then, they faced a dilemma. They had to reverse course and stop their uncontrolled spending, or find a solution to perpetuate the endless deficits and borrowing. They came up with a shameful response: more market intervention. The Fed, go ahead and manipulate interest rates, forcing them below levels determined by the market, artificially lessening the cost of capital and skewing the free market process. This harmful policy of financial repression eased the government's interest expense burden, but did so with irreparable damage to savers, the backbone of capitalism and the principal means by which the middle class accumulates purchasing power to prepare for an uncertain future. It was a wicked tactic to buy time and retain the status quo. It was not a solution. The proverbial can was kicked down the road for the umpteenth time. But now it looks like this beaten up can is now about to go over the cliff and take the dollar with it, because artificially low interest rates have encouraged even greater amounts of borrowing that have resulted in even more accumulated debt. This time bought by the tactic is now ending as interest rates have begun their inevitable return to levels better reflecting the heightened credit and counterparty risk of the federal government's debt mountain, which is rapidly approaching $34 trillion. The federal government is on a knife's edge, with the default looming in the near future. The dire outcome is simply a reflection of math, which is undeniable. Actual results of revenue, outlays, and debt, along with the above projections, highlight past decades of financial mismanagement. Just taking a look at that, America's debt narrative is a horror tale scripted in the cold halls of government. Each stroke of fiscal irresponsibility sends shivers down the spines of those who dare to look at the U.S. debt clock. And that Zero Hedge article paints a chilling picture. The U.S. government caught in a vicious cycle, borrowing more just to pay off existing debt. The abyss stares back as our debt soars beyond the clouds. A dark storm is looming, threatening to engulf the nation in a financial maelstrom. Our economic policy resembles the twisted puzzles of Hellraiser, an enigma that once unlocked unleashes fiscal demons that feast on the essence of our economy. But amidst this dark saga emerges a ray of hope, and that's Bitcoin. With its decentralized ethos, finite supply, it stands tall as the beacon in the murky waters of financial despair. Unlike the endless abyss of fiat, Bitcoin's 21 million cap is the stake aimed at the heart of inflation.
I always wanted to do that.
The endorsement of Bitcoin by financial maestros like Michael Saylor isn't mere happenstance. It's a call to arms against a monstrous economic system that feeds off debt and bleeds instability.
Whatever you do, don't stare at him.
I'm staring at him. Is that a man?
Actually, it's 7 men. Parts of them anyway.
By exposing me, you have condemned me!
You know, Bitcoin's immunity to the whims of monetary policy, its resistance to censorship, and its borderless nature are the arsenal we wield in this battle against a centrally planned economic nightmare.
So weird.
History has a weird way of rhyming, and the night may be dark, filled with fiscal goals and the cries of a debt-ridden future. But as long as the flame of Bitcoin burns bright, there's a path towards dawn, a path to a future where freedom rings louder than the chains of debt.
Only a silver bullet can kill me!
Hey, and we know history is rife with examples of the state taking people's personal property. Make sure you're securing your Bitcoin the right way, and no better place to get started than the Bitcoin Way. Your IT team in the Bitcoin world, Simply Bitcoin Originals, are powered by the Bitcoin Way. They are currently promoting their privacy-focused collaborative custody. But hey guys, wherever you are in your Bitcoin journey, the Bitcoin Way can help you with wallet and nodes, inheritance planning, accepting Bitcoin payments, as we mentioned, multi-sig, collaborative custody, and more. They've got you covered. Schedule a free 30-minute call today using that link below. Man, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We had a lot of fun. Like, subscribe, share the Sound Money Gospel, set those notifications. If the next week is anything like the past couple, it's gonna be wild. So make sure you're following us on Twitter so you get all that breaking news. We will be your guide through the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Good luck to your fantasy teams. I hope you had a great weekend. Let's go whoop some ass this week. Stack those sats and stay free, baby. I'll catch you next time. Peace.